everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are broadcasting once again from Keene, Texas, here in downtown Hadley Manor.
Yeah.
Yay.
There is no downtown Keene, Texas.
No, there's really not.
There isn't. No.
So now it's downtown Hadley Manor. This is our manor now. We live in a manor, not an estate. Anyway, just wanted to give everybody a couple minutes to find us. And we are starting a month of December. What's it, December what? December 4?
Is it the 4th today? It sure is.
Is it 4th? And so we have, I think, what, 1, 2, how many broadcasts do we have till Christmas? 3. 3 broadcasts?
3, right. But then the fourth week will be Christmas.
Will be Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
What day is Christmas on this year?
Sabbath.
Oh, is it a Sabbath Christmas this year? Oh, cool. All right, fun. So we're going to do, a fun 4 Christmas things in the December here. So we're going to kind of count down to Christmas, and I guess I don't know if we're doing a broadcast on Christmas or not.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. I had presumed we were. Mm-hmm. As Colby and Autumn are coming for a visit.
Ah, wow. Maybe we'll drag them on camera.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be a miracle. Anyway.
Our own Christmas miracle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I thought it'd be fun, since there's like the 12 days of Christmas, it would be fun to do the 12 facts of Christmas, things you may or may not know about Christmas. And I would just do 4 each broadcast leading up to the Christmas broadcast. So for this week, next week, and the week after, I'm going to do fun, interesting facts about Christmas, Christmas traditions and songs, things like that you may or may not know, and it will be fun. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to don the official Christmas fun facts wear.
Oh, wait, where's my hat?
You had a hat. You didn't like it.
I didn't, because my head was too big.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait, that wasn't the problem. The hat
That was too small. That's right.
Yeah.
You can't say your head's too big. That makes... Apparently my head is small enough to fit department store hats. Anyway, so here we go. I have them on my laptop, so Aspen's going to put them on the screen if she hasn't already. This is the 12 fun facts of Christmas, things you may or may not know about the traditions of history of Christmas. Did you know that Jingle Bells was the very first Christmas song played in space? How about that? The crew of NASA's Gemini 6A spaceflight got into the Christmas spirit and made history when they played Jingle Bells on December 16, 1965, earning the Jolly Jingle the Guinness World Record for being the first song ever played in space. That little gaggle of bells right there, that is the actual Jingle Bells that they took into space with them, that they used and shook and played along with the song. So there you go. Gemini 6A was Jingle Bells from space. All right, let's go to fun fact number 2. Jingle Bells also, another interesting fact about the song, was long associated with wintry Christmas cheer, but it was originally written for Thanksgiving. So this is really probably the beginning of Hobby Lobby's war to take Christmas before Thanksgiving, because Jingle Bells was a Thanksgiving song. Actually, it was in 1857. James Lord, and I think it's church in Savannah, published the music and lyrics to the song he had written, The One-Horse Open Sleigh. And if you go through the song, you'll notice there's nothing that really says it's about Christmas. It's about running through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, which seems very odd for someone to write in Savannah, Georgia. Probably in his imagination, maybe. However, even deeper history of the song, they're saying that it was actually written probably 7 years beforehand. It didn't take off until 1867, or 1867. But it was actually written 7 years before, when he was living in New England. And in fact, there's 2 towns, of whom I'm not going to name because it's still ongoing, who fight and feud over the origins and the original town of the birthplace of Jingle Bells. And they both claim they are the birthplace, but no definitive proof can be given, i.e., Lord, Pepperpoint is dead, so he can't tell us for sure. But there is this ongoing war about where Jingle Bells was originally written, and it was originally written as a Thanksgiving song. So from here out, Jingle Bells is the only Christmas song you can legally play starting Thanksgiving. There you go. Fun fact number 3. Do You Hear What I Hear is an anti-war song. And I picked this one because we actually just watched one of these movies recently. It was written while America was on the brink of nuclear war at the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The song was written by Noel Regini and Gloria Shane. Oh, there you go. Talk about Christmas-ready names. Noel and Gloria. Noel and Gloria wrote this song, and it was during October of 1962. And Shane that's the wife, was especially moved by mothers pushing their children in carriages on the street. And so they wrote this song during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it was actually a plea for peace where at the end you hear, goodness and light. And that's how the big ending of the song. And when it came out, it was striking a chord with people around the world, especially Americans, and was an instant hit. So it was fun. Also interesting to note on that song is that was recorded. There was a choir who just previously, the year before, had recorded Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is another fun fact we're going to do at another, next week probably. But they were just a choir they threw together and did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, made it a big hit. It was the exact same choir that did Do You Hear What I Hear 1 year later, and again, a big hit. Somebody should have signed that choir to a record label. All right, and fun fact number 4, last one for this one. I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. The wholesome humor of this seasonal favorite, in which a young boy spies his mother smooching his costumed father, was too much for the Archdiocese of Boston. It condemned the song for debasing the holiday. So Jimmy Boyd was a 13-year-old boy who had he had already been in some movies, TV show, and had some fame, and he sang the song as a 13-year-old. And if you hear the original song, he sounds like this little kid, because he was. And yet the Archdiocese of Boston said, "This is debasing the holiday Christmas season. I ban this song from all good Christian homes." And today that seems kind of ridiculous.
It does, yeah.
Because we think, really? That's what got you caught up? Mommy kissing, dressed up daddy, Santa Claus.
Sort of like this.
Mwah. We are now banned by the Archdiocese of Keene, Texas. If there even is
there
one.
Probably isn't
one. Oddly and interestingly enough, the record label flew Jimmy, the little boy, to Boston to meet with the Archdiocese and the church leaders. And he was able to convince them that perhaps it wasn't such an evil song after all when he told them the story. And they actually lifted the ban, and we now have the song played in good Christian homes around the world. All thanks to Jimmy Boyd and his convincing rhetoric to the Archdiocese of Boston. And there you go.
There you go.
Fun facts about things you didn't know. I'm sure I didn't know.
I didn't know them either.
And I'm sure Aspen didn't know, and Kitty didn't know. So now we know. And hopefully you had a grand Thanksgiving where you played Jingle Bells. No, One Horse Open Sleigh, yes. And had good food. We had great food, although I have discovered I forgot one of our Thanksgiving foods, and it's been sitting, not being eaten until today.
Yes, after Aspen slaved over that
yes,
pie.
It was really good. It's a German chocolate pecan pie. Mm-hmm. And it's really good. Really good. I ate some today. Mm-hmm. But it's so rich, you can only have just a little bit of it. Yeah. So next week, 4 more fun facts about Christmas. I will take off the official Christmas fun fact hat since we are done. And we shall move on into today's topic. Miranda, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Moses and his staff. And sounds like he has a full office staff of people.
Yes, he does. Moses and his office staff. who didn't have faxes or printers, or they would have just faxed Pharaoh and said, hey, we're having a meeting, let the people go, thanks.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that way, though.
No. Anyways, we're talking about a couple things here. First of all, we have a court
order.
A quote by Martin Buber. I like this one. All journeys have secret destinations of which the traveler is unaware. It sounds like so much fun. Yes.
Read that again.
All journeys have secret destinations of which the traveler is unaware.
Boy, that would be a really good, creative line to give kids to write an essay or even make a movie on. That's a really good.
I would really like to hear other people's perspectives.
Yeah, that is cool.
On this, yeah. But I believe that James, chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, expresses that thought quite well. I do believe, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. So basically, when we go through life on a journey, there's various trials, right? Mm-hmm. And so we can't see at that moment what good this is going to do us. Usually we would rather pass on by the trials and such. And yet it is in those trials that God has those secret destinations for us, those places, the unexpected places where he shows up in all his power and glory and says, hello, I'm here and see what I am doing for you, despite and because of the various trials and such that we go through. Because
if you've lived long enough, think about times in your life you can look back now and go, boy, at the time I wish I hadn't done that, but you look at, I had to go through it, but now you look at it and you go, I am here today because of what I went through. Right. Aspen's doing jazz hands, so I'm...
Your live video signal has been lost and it turned yellow.
I don't know. I'm not the tech person.
Check it out. Your live video signal's been lost.
Now it's blue. So it was yellow, and now it's blue, and then it went back to yellow, and now it's blue again.
Where did it say live video signal been lost?
Over here, and now that's gone, but it's still frozen. Oh, now it's working. I switched the camera. Oh, yellow again.
Okay, so you probably, if you're watching live, well, even if you watch later, you probably had a few moments there where it was just Miranda sitting here. We were having some internet connection issues that Aspen didn't know how to fix, so I had to go fix them for her because she's just, a teenager sitting there pushing buttons, who's now pushing buttons to silence me, take me out of the... No, she, yes, anyway, so I think we got them fixed. So, at what point did we go out there, Aspen?
You were talking about stuff.
Yeah, basically, as we go along and we're experiencing these various trials that we have, at that moment we can't necessarily see why we have to go through this, and it's not very much fun. And yet, within those, God has those secret destinations where He shows up for us and says hello, and you know, gives us whatever encouragement it is that we need at that moment. And so, yeah, the secret destinations in life would be the various trials and the testing of our faith, and we are to count it all joy. Because those little moments where God shows up, it is joy. And that's our intro for today.
That's our intro for today.
Yes.
Yes.
So today we're going to look at Moses and part of his journey. He has been a long journey. There's a lot of stuff that happened to him. So this is why we're just cutting out a small piece of that to look at today. So we're going to start with Moses there, and he's in the desert, and he's been there for 40 years. And you know, most days are probably pretty much the same, day in, day out. Dry desert sand, sheep, blue skies, hot, I suppose. You know, same bushes, probably been walking past the same bushes for years. Probably knows them all by name. You know, a lot of bushes out there.
He's probably enjoyed getting into a routine because his earlier life met with lots of ups and downs and, you know, trials, tribulations, and excitement and you know, fear and panic. And now he's married, he's got kids, he's got a steady job, and he's got a routine. And it's probably very safe and comfortable for him.
Yeah, it definitely didn't involve all the court politics. That would be a job in itself. Playing the right games here and there and saying the right things. And
it's sort of like being a politician for years and years and then moving to Montana and having your own farm. You know, if you're kind of into that thing, then probably was a really good break. He was probably enjoying his life at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, there he is out in the desert, 40 years out there, and all of a sudden he sees a bush and it's on fire. You know, I was thinking about it. I wonder if he didn't just set a bush on fire himself on occasion. I mean, that would certainly be an easier way to start a fire than gathering up tons and tons of brush. I'm not saying that you couldn't add to that, but it certainly would be a great place to have a fire without having to gather brush and whatever else they may have for a fire. So anyways, you know.
Interesting fact on around where he was at, they think there is a bush out there called the fire bush, and it's the way it's colored, it can look like it's on fire. And when they say, you know, Moses went to look, you know what is this? And he might have thought, boy, that's one of the fire bushes, but it looks like it's actually on fire, you know, like it would have drawn him in. So it would have been interesting for God to use a fire bush to actually put on fire.
Was that it wasn't burning up.
Yeah.
And so we went over to say, hey, now what is this that's going on? And when he gets over there, that's when he hears his name being called from the bush, Moses. And you know what? This was one of those secret destination moments. 40 years in the desert, and the secret destination was standing there in front of a bush that wasn't burning up and talking to God. I mean, wow, right? I mean, who could predict something like that? And, you know, you'd think, yeah, if you had a little heat stroke, sure, yes. But no, this is real. And so Moses says, here I am. And they have this whole conversation, right? And God ends up saying, see, I have seen the way the Egyptians are treated, or the way the Egyptians are treating the Israelites. And so then what may have seemed like out of the clear blue, but God doesn't miss a beat. He just goes on to, is talking to Moses, and he says, so now go. I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of. So you know what? This is one of those spy movies, right? Where someone looks to be living a normal, average life, and then they are called into a secret meeting.
Yes. But also, it could have been, you know, also part of this is that, you know, Moses could have been thinking, now you see, now you want me to do this? Where were you 40 years ago when I was trying to do that? You know, and you saw how the Egyptians were treating the Israelites then, and you didn't do anything. And I tried to get you to, and now you want to send me.
Yes, And it's sort of like Moses was being called out of retirement in a way,
Yes.
you know, because you watch these secret agent spy movie things, and they have a really big project, and they don't know who to call in. It's just, oh, this guy, 20 years ago, he was so great, you know, but he's retired now. But you know what? Let's call him in because we know that he can do the
It
job.
reminds me of Sean Connery in The Rock. The Rock is a nickname for Alcatraz. And the movie was based on there's only one person that's ever escaped from Alcatraz. I mean, in the movie, we don't know that think anybody's ever actually escaped. And they're like, they had to go in because some guy took a bunch of hostages and was doing throwing. And we got to get into Alcatraz. How do you break into Alcatraz? And the guy's like, well, there is this one guy, and he's the only one I think can do this because he actually broke out. And they're like, no, not, you know. And then they have to go get him out of prison and. Retirement, and you know, you're the only one that can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and here they are having their meeting like this out there in the middle of the desert, right? Well, I guess you probably couldn't get too much more private than that, right? Not too many people looking over your shoulder trying to listen in. So, but Moses says, he says, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt, right? Yeah. And once again, like the classic spy movie, he's remembering his old enemies. He had killed an Egyptian and had to flee the country in order to stay alive. Right. And he's not particularly interested in going back to that because he fears that his life might very well still be in danger. So,
Sean Connery, like, I'm not going back there. The place almost killed me. Why would I want to go back there?
Right. So it's like the classic retired former spy who doesn't want to do another job.
Right.
A dangerous, seemingly impossible job. Not even seemingly. This is impossible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You want me to go back to Egypt? You want me to go break into Alcatraz? Seemingly impossible.
Right. So basically, this would be like being sent to Alcatraz and pulling out the biggest prison break of all time. Since it involves so many people, it wouldn't be possible to do it secretly.
Right.
And so Moses is just supposed to march right into the prison warden's office. This is God's instructions, right?
Yeah.
And ask his permission for all these people to go with him.
Yeah.
Fact is, he might as well be asking for all of the prisoners in there to be let go. And so anyways, that's a pretty bold plot line. But, you know...
Actually, if you think about it, it's not. I mean, it's bold. But you would think, like, if it's a movie, you're thinking, like, all right, God, you lay out the map, and, like, here's the kingdom of Egypt, okay, here's Pharaoh's palace, here's where the Israelites are. All right, how are we going to do this? You know, who's going to go where, and who's going to cause the distraction, and how are we going to get out, you know? And it's like, well, I just want you to just go into Pharaoh's courtroom and say, hey, let him go. That's the plan.
Yeah, and not only that, like, I mean, God makes some crazy claims about what he's going to do. You know, I'm going to set you guys free, and you're going to be taking their gold and money and jewels and stuff with you. I mean, right? And that sounds crazy. And, you know, I'm going to take you into the land of Canaan, and he lists off all these other people that would be idol worshippers and enemies of the Israelites because they aren't going to want them to take over their land, you know, and so it all sounds so ridiculously impossible.
It's like, oh, he's going to let you go. Just go and say, God said let him go. And then on your way out, the Egyptians are going to be like, oh, you need some gold. Here, take some gold, take the brass, here, take this, and you're going to give all this stuff here on your way out. And it's just, you know, you got to look at it and go like, what expression must Moses have?
Yeah.
And like, okay, so just going to go in there and say this, and then as we leave, open our arms, and they'll dump this stuff, and we'll just take it with us. That'll work.
That'd be like telling the prison warden, okay, and so write everybody a check for all this time that they spent in prison, and because they'll need some money for a new start and everything, and
have all the guards empty their pocket. Here, take my watch, take my
it's just
kind of ridiculous if you think about it.
It is because I mean, movie plot lines, even though most of the time they aren't true, they have to fall into some sort of realism to an extent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they won't really even be watchable or believable. So, anyways, Moses still isn't really convinced, and he says, so what? Actually, he seemed to be fairly convinced it wasn't him so much, but he was worried that the people he was going to, the Israelites, are going to go say, right, sure, there's burning bush that talked to you, and who's God. And yeah, we know you're a shepherd out there, and lonely life and everything. So
Probably a little bit. Moses, this didn't go so well the first time.
yeah,
You know.
and so now you think this is God talking to you. Yeah. So what does God say? He says, what's that in your hand? And so now this is a part of the movie where the boss provides his recruit with his special agent tools.
That would be like James Bond and Q. Q was... You've never seen a James Bond movie in your life, have you?
I have seen several James Bond movies.
Have you?
But many, many years ago.
I'm
I haven't
shocked.
watched one. I haven't watched one with you, so it would definitely be pre-Aspen. So
Yeah.
15 plus years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
Did you?
And but probably the last spy movie I watched was like Secret Agent Kids. Isn't that what it was called?
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids. Yes. So
They had a similar setup. Yeah, there's always, in James Bond, Q is the guy who creates all the special, little toys that he uses, like the, exploding wristwatch. And my favorite was, he always has the James Bond car. And my favorite was, there was a little sticker on the window that says, anti-theft device installed. And the guy trying to steal the car goes, no car ever invented I can't make. And he puts the thing in, the whole car blows up. And that was the anti-theft thing. It blows itself. And you along with it if you try to steal the car. But he would always come up with these, that was where the, shoe telephone and the, wristwatch, explosive, where you could throw, and the pin that shoots a bullet. I mean, all the fancy spy gear.
yeah, right. But you know what? God doesn't open up his drawers and pull out the things like that, the shoe telephone or whatever and such. No, he doesn't.
Aspen wants a shoe telephone for Christmas now.
He doesn't pull out any of those super secret, super awesome secret agent
And
tools.
neither do we. I mean, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year?
Yeah.
No.
That laser.
Laser pin.
Yeah.
That, yes.
That I can cut cake with it.
Cut cake with.
Yeah. Imagine all the dishes that would.
Although, if you think about it, I know where you're headed, and if you think about it, what God does is actually even more impressive.
Yes. So, anyways, no, but he takes what Moses already has.
Yeah.
His shepherd's staff. And basically now this staff will be able to do anything he needs to get the job done. That's better than any shoe phone.
Because you have the pen with the laser and the watch with it, you need all these things. God's like, I got it all in one. And you know what? You already have it.
You already have it. And that's how God works in our lives too. We don't have to wait around for him to give us secret agent phones and stuff. No, in order to do some grand thing for God, we don't have to wait around for that because he has already given us what we need to do for him.
Yeah, but we always like to put things on. It's just human nature of, well, when I have this, I can do that. When I have this, I can do that. Well, once I finish school, I can do what God's asking me to do. Or once I, go to church, make more money or something, and there's always, if I can just do this or have this, then I'll be ready. And we tend to do that with everything. Like in filmmaking, you get that a lot. Students are always, as soon as I have the newest computer or the next camera or the da-da-da-da, then I can make my movie or I can make my, video game or whatever. And it's like, you can do a lot with what you have, but it's human nature to put it off because, I don't know, maybe fear, failure.
Yeah, so you always have to keep that thing between you and success because if you can't, it's only because you don't have the stuff to do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, God didn't give Moses extra stuff to carry around. He just supersized and superpowered what he already had, and which was the staff. And so then God gave Moses a lesson on how to use it, right? So, because we've all seen how they pull out that little watch that does this or that, or the phone that does, and so this is how you do it. So God says, throw it on the ground. And so it becomes a snake. And Moses ran from it. Now, the Bible doesn't say. Maybe Moses just didn't like snakes. I don't know. But if he ran from it, I'm going to presume that it was probably not a very good snake. Potentially.
It was an asp.
I mean, personally, I would run from any snake. If it was a this long gardener snake, I would run from it, screeching or squeaking or something the whole time.
Yeah.
But, and if God would have asked me to pick up a little gardener snake this long by his tail, I would really have to think about it. Honestly, I just would.
But it is how you're actually supposed to pick snakes up. Snake
By the
handling
tail.
By the tail.
Yes. So, so anyways.
And the first Christmas snake, there's no Christmas snake. I just threw that in. But it was probably a poisonous snake, an asp, because that would have been very common in the hill country of where he was actually living at the time. And so it's probably deadly, which is why he ran from it, which is why it's a lot of faith to pick it up by the tail.
Yes, right. And this is where, now he's got that, he doesn't have his staff anymore, but because I bet with his staff, he would have been able to get rid of the snake.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was accomplished at that. Yeah. And yet now he didn't have that. He didn't have anything on him to do that with. And so this is where, in the movie you would have that suspenseful music playing while he's, and running from the snake. And in the meantime, God tells him, all right, now I want you to pick it up by the tail. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, he did. And now he was back to being a shepherd with a staff in his hands. And being the shepherd with the staff in his hands, clearly he is the one in control, because he's the one who guides the sheep all around with the staff. And yeah. So anyways.
I've always had this imagery, though, that he goes home to tell his wife all about it, who, finds this very hard to believe. He's like, no, wait. And he throws the staff down and nothing happens. And she's just like, no, let me do it again. And she's like, yeah, tell me another one, Moses. Go get cleaned up. You smell like sheep. That's just me.
Well, I mean, if he was a typical husband, he would probably occasionally play the practical joke.
That's true.
So,
I should write a companion to the Bible. Brett's weird thoughts on things that might have happened. Or maybe we'll just let Miranda go on with her brilliant thoughts.
So anyways, God said, this is so that they will believe that I have appeared to you. Yeah. And so, is that not what those secret destinations that are in our journeys that God has planned for us are all about? God shows up in all his amazingness, and we are so excited about it that we go out and we tell other people how awesome God is.
And isn't it kind of cool, though, that it also that he was giving Moses, because we got to remember the history that goes on here, that Moses did try this once before, and there's going to be people there that remember that, and they are going to be like, no, I remember you, and you suck. You totally blew it the first time. Why should we even listen to you at all? And God could have been very much, because I am Yahweh and I told you to listen to him, but he was giving people something to anchor their faith. Just enough. Here's something that you can, I could
actually see. And we are very visual people. We put our faith in things that we can see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a real risk.
Yeah.
It's a risk.
It was really, you don't want to say condescending, but it was really God meeting Moses and the people. Again, God meeting people where they were at.
Yeah, he was meeting them with love as well, because he was supporting them in the way that he knew that they needed to be supported at that moment.
Exactly.
Right. And so also, this was God telling Moses that, yes, what I have told you that I'm sending you to Egypt to bring my people out is actually me who is doing that.
Right.
And this is a classic. Whenever God tells us to do something seemingly impossible, he is already planning on doing it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And Moses had what he needed and didn't know it, because God was going to use what he had to do what he wanted to do. And Moses, again, in typical human thinking, would have been like, well, I got to get this and that, and the whole time he already had what he needed for God to work through him, for God to use him. He didn't need to add anything. He just needed to let God do it.
Yeah, and he was, in part, he was ready for that, even though he didn't particularly want to do it at the moment. he was ready for that because of all those other secret destinations, if you will, where God showed up in his life for him. And also during those 40 years in the wilderness, I doubt he just sat around and twiddled his thumbs. This was an opportunity for him to reflect on his relationship with God and grow his relationship. I'm sure God was busy growing his relationship and faith and changing his perspectives on things out there, because it was certainly a different life than he had been used to in the courts of Egypt. He was it's the next Pharaoh. And now he's out there herding sheep that aren't even his. They're his father-in-law's sheep.
And that would have been Moses, before the bush. You could look back and go, well, what's some things that, you look back and think, I wish I hadn't have done that, and like, well, one, killing the Egyptian. Two, he had to cross the desert alone, which probably almost killed him anyway before he got to Midian, and, just all the things and experiences he had up to that point. There's probably a lot of them he would have gone like, well, I wish that hadn't happened, or I wish this had. And yet, they were all part of the plan of preparing him for that moment with God at the bush.
Yes, all those other moments where God had already showed up in his life was now.
And those were those secret destinations.
That you cannot plan them. You can hope for them, but God brings them when he knows that we need them.
Yes, and all I can think of is, we're in Keene, Texas.
In the desert.
In the desert.
Right? Oh, no, it's not actually desert here. We're on the edge. We're on the edge of the green.
Yeah.
Aspen looked at a map of the U.S. and we're right in the middle. Like if you go east, it gets greener and greener and greener. And if you go west, it gets drier and drier very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. So we're just kind of right there in the middle, not desert and yet not entirely a forested, wet, green area either.
Yeah, we're right on the edge. That's interesting. Places you just never thought you'd end up living. Texas.
It's true because it's funny because we left Vegas and we ended up in Maryland where you had first begun your career, and as a young person anyways. And then we went to Nebraska, where I had been born and lived there for 3 years. And now after Nebraska, we come back to Keene, Texas, because I lived here for a year as a kid as well.
You lived here as well.
Yes. So.
Oh, Lord, that means South Carolina is next. Oh, no, Aspen will be the only happy one. Humidity galore. Humidity for everyone. Oh, boy. That would be, if it was like childhood, that would be South Carolina. If it's later, like teen, it would be North Carolina, but South Carolina would be my child. Columbia. Oh my word. You know how you're supposed to don't ever say, well, I'll never do this again, because that's what the one of those that I have said a lot in my early life was, I will never go back to Columbia.
Oh, don't say that.
I said it a million times growing up. Once I left, I was I will never come back. I will never live here again.
Oh, hopefully God took you seriously. Or not seriously.
Not seriously.
One or the other. Yeah.
I was kidding. Kidding, Lord. Oh, man.
Well, we have digressed.
But it does, God uses, what you got and who you are.
Yeah.
All Moses had to do was let him work through him. But later, we're going to look at some more places where Moses did let God do it, but also when he didn't. Yeah. Yes. So hopefully next week is going to be as fun as it was this week. I love the super secret spy agent thing. It is good.
We're having fun with that.
Yep.
And so join us next week, for more super secret, super agent, magical staff.
And fun Christmas facts you probably don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know either.
Yes, there you go. I've done this so many times. So many years. I've preaching sermons. I will always go and I'll research and find weird, wild facts about Mother's Day, Christmas, everything. And I've heard them all. So it's still sort of fun, but there's not likely one I haven't heard because I've just done it so much.
Maybe people should bring some next week that maybe you haven't heard of.
If you can challenge me, that would be fun. I'd like to know some stuff that I haven't heard before because I've pretty much heard it all. And I've worked with youth, so I've heard just about everything. So, All right. Well, have a great rest of your Sabbath, if there's any left, and have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.